It's Cardcaptor Sakura time. I have promised this such a long time. I've promised this video probably on one of my first styling videos, maybe even the second one that I've made. So finally, I have watched the show. I am preparing a review because I've promised a review as well. Today we're not going to be talking about any of the things that are questionable about the show. We're not going to be talking about any of the great things about the show except for fashion, which I think it's appropriate for us to start with Tomoyo. I'm going to apologize right away for mispronouncing any of the names because I watched it subbed, and that's the thing sometimes when it's names that are not in English. I even mispronounce names in English because English is also not my first language, but in general my accent comes through a lot more when I'm pronouncing names that are not even English names, you know? So I'm sorry, it's probably gonna be, like, my accent's definitely gonna be thicker than usual on the names, but that happens, you know? I'm trying. In any case, let's start with Tomoyo because she is the one that is kind of the designer in the show. Not kind of, she is a designer. She's designed all the clothes that Sakura wears, all of her outfits for card capturing. Let's look at her outfits. So what you notice in a lot of her outfits is the fact that she wears a lot of headbands, and those headbands most of the time, if not always, match with her clothes, with her, sometimes her dress and whatever. So for example, here she's matching red with red. She also had this look where she had this ponytail and she had this bow that matches with everything else. She definitely likes matchy kind of outfits on herself. So for example, this outfit too, you can see that the headband and the dress are matching again. Also utilizing a lot of Juliet sleeves in general on her and on Sakura, and like all of the other outfits that she creates, that she designs. There's also a lot of bows, and she is very feminine. Her outfits are hyper feminine. For example, this outfit too, it's this yellow raincoat, and again everything is matching, everything is yellow in her outfit. She really likes monochromatic looks with very bright colors. Sometimes she goes for something a little bit more neutral like this, but in general what's so unique about her style and about her approach to designing outfits in general is the fact that she has a lot of unique or rarely used sleeves and necklines for modern times that she uses. For example, this is very off, it's kind of like off the shoulder but also a little bit bowed neckline. And it's not that it's not common nowadays as much as it's not layered like this commonly, and it's not usually for winter shirts like this, and it's usually with like some kind of elastic nowadays or something like that. It's rarely done in this type of fashion. For Tomoyo, I thought that it would be really interesting to go with some outfits that are employing a lot of feminine fabrics. By feminine I mean very like traditional ideas of what fabrics work best with dresses, which is usually something that is frilly and has bows and silky, sometimes has a lot of pleats, but very delicate ones, very small ones. Usually there are some layers and a lot of movement in the fabric. She does like she dresses in a lot of colors. She doesn't really restrict herself to one color, and one of the things that I wanted to underline is the use of both Juliet sleeves and leg of mutton sleeves, specifically like for example this type of shirt. Of course it would be a little bit of a different cut, there wouldn't be that much of a plunging neckline and stuff like that. This is going to be a recurring issue in this video that I'm going to kind of explain right now, and we're going to return to it when we talk about Sakura, but it's the fact that it's quite difficult to find clothes nowadays for the preteen demographic that is not Walmart level quality of dress. So I had to use a lot of pictures of either adults dressed in some sort of outfits that I kind of had to like adjust or explain myself, or I'm gonna be using some old images from old catalogs because it is just so difficult to find anything of good quality, at least visually, that looks good, you know? For anyone who's from the ages of 7 to 12, this demographic, it just stopped existing in our stores for some reason, and the reason, I know that there is a reason, and that reason is just too big to discuss in this video, but I'm just gonna explain myself really quick because it's going to come up multiple times because we have so many characters that are 10 years old, so there's gonna be a lot of issues about that. Anyway, so I thought also that it would be interesting to use this type of sleeves, for example, for her. I liked the way that the top is looking with the suspenders and everything, not the shorts but just the top part. I think that It's very Tomoyo. And then this type of dress that's more of a baby doll dress with a little bit of a Peter Pan collar going on. She definitely leans towards these types of styles. This outfit reminded me of her yellow outfit a lot. This one, obviously. It's not a raincoat. I'm not sure if the one that Tomoyo is wearing is a raincoat or not, but it looks a little bit like a raincoat to me. But it doesn't really matter. It's just the silhouette and the fact that it's this type of yellow and the fact that everything is matching so much. Oh my goodness. Got my butterflies. I've also picked this image to just demonstrate, first of all the cuts of the clothes are very similar to what Tomoyo wears in the show, but also just the fact that it's this matching headbands, except for the one in the middle, it's a white one instead of a pink one, but it just reminded me of what she usually wears. I've also put this images here because she oftentimes wears skirts that have a lot of volume. It's especially remarkable to see because children of that age in the 90s usually didn't wear things like that, where there's a full skirt that's mid-length, and it definitely adds to her whole aesthetic, and it makes sense with the fact that she loves designing so much, and she loves I guess a lot of her fashion is inspired by the 50s. It is interesting to see, as well as like this image. I kind of picked it for the gloves, the dress. The dress is very much Tomoyo's silhouette, as well as this bow. It kind of looks exactly the same, or not exactly the same because it's a ponytail in Tomoyo's case, but it reminds me of this look that she wore. Overall, it's a very cute character. She has really cute outfits. I think that this outfits with the Juliet sleeve work really well for her. I think that it just fits her in general and her personality and everything. And I just find her like a really cute character. And a lot of her outfits that she's designed for Sakura too, they're kind of inspired by the Renaissance era. Juliet sleeves are usually inspired by that era, and just the way that she approaches her designs for Sakura, we'll get back to it when I'm gonna be talking about Sakura. It's very much Renaissance dresses inspired, and sometimes male fashion inspired too. So the next one is gonna be Yukito, everyone's crush. Literally, who isn't crushing on Yukito in this show? I feel like every single person, okay, not every single person, but most of the main characters have had a crush on Yukito at one point or another. He's really sweet and a really nice person, so it makes sense that everyone is going crazy for him. What he's seen wearing most of the time, if I would have to describe it in a few words, I would say that it's a nice old grandpa clothes that's very like a very dapper grandpa. Yeah, like well dressed grandpa mixed with a young person who likes to be cozy. It's a very interesting combination. So for example, in some images or in some moments in the show, he's wearing a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and most of the time he's wearing something like this type of sweater with like a turtleneck, cozy looking. He usually layers a turtleneck with like a big jacket or something like that. There's also images like this. This is from Clear Card. I'm not using a lot of Clear Card images for reference because I haven't seen Clear Card yet. Don't spoil anything. Actually, you can spoil. I'm not against spoilers, to be honest. I don't care about spoilers. But he's kind of wearing a lot of cozy clothes in different type of styles. Some of the cozy clothes is more like a professor looking stuff, and then some of it is more of just a student hanging out, studying. And sometimes there's just like shirts like this here and there just thrown in. What I noticed about him is that he always wears either earthy tones or most of the time something that is warm tone. Most of the time, not always. His palette is quite large too, but these types of colors that are more earthy kind of remind me of him. So I would probably dress him into something like this with a sweater, something layered under it. Very studious, but at the same time very cozy and comfortable. So of course I have like 300 sweater vests in this because I don't know why, but I associate him with sweater vests, and I just couldn't pass by them and not put them here. But also I liked in this image that there's also the glasses with the outfit, and the glasses are literally exactly the same glasses that he wears. Another sweater vest. I know. I've put this shirt here, this very plain kind of outfit, because it reminded me of the one that he wore in the car. He also wears those kind of very light, nice cut, but very simple outfits too. And this without the watch, because the watch makes it kind of douchey for some reason. I don't know why. I would say that this outfit also kind of similar to something he would wear on like a vacation. So the next one we have to talk about, of course, after talking about Yukito, Toya. Sakura's brother. I really like how they presented Toya and Yuki. We'll talk about it in the review. They're probably one of the best parts of the show in terms of just the approach, the way that they've been written, everything. Very rare type of writing of a couple. Usually doesn't happen in such a like nice, wholesome way that builds up in a natural kind of pace. So with Toya, he is, if I had to describe him in a few words, I would say that a lot of like it feels like he's the type of guy that dresses for occasions in terms of taking into account what he's about to do and trying to match what he's doing and thinking about functionality rather than anything else. He's a little bit more traditional in terms of his choices of clothes. A lot of his clothes, the cuts of them are very much inspired by Japanese traditional clothing. So there's a lot of very straight cuts. A lot of, if you look at his collars on his sweaters, for example, they're usually quite thick and standing they're a little bit rigid rather than very soft or something like that. I don't have a lot of images of his outfits, but if you've seen the show, you will remember the outfits that he's wearing. Like, for example, even in this sweater, which is very similar to something that Yuki, for example, would wear. But the difference is that with Yuki, he would probably have a collar that's a little bit closer, and in the way that it would be drawn, it would look a little bit softer than this one. This one has a bit more structure to it. It wouldn't just fall on one side or the other, or fold in a way, you know, like when you're wearing a turtleneck and it usually like folds somewhere because it's very soft. I feel like this one suggests a little bit of more structure to it, and that's the thing with Toya's, the cuts of his shirts and everything. So for example, with this one that I've showed before, it's a very straight cut and very low, so it kind of looks, I'm not sure because of the jacket on top, but it could have been either a boat, like a boat cut, or a square cut or something like that, which is hard to find for some reason. It's hard to find something that doesn't look douchey that's like this, but the fact of the matter is he's not wearing something that would look douchey in real life. It's just hard to find that type of neckline on men's shirts for some reason. I don't know why. And also this jacket that he's wearing on top, it's kind of reminiscent of, when you're watching the show and you see it from the back too, it's reminiscent of the school uniform that they have in terms of having this inspiration from, what is it called? Sea uniform that's worn by Marines. Anything that has to do with military or something like that, I don't know, and I don't care about. Basically, it's just reminiscent of that, you know, like sea people, boat people who do boat stuff. Oh, it's so hot. Quite a few times he's seen wearing a kimono. It's usually for like a festival or something like that, but he's one of the characters that's seen in it more than others. And also just Japanese style men's clothing. Do you know what I mean? Like very straight big shirts and stuff like that. The modern kind too. In this case, he's wearing this jacket with this white shirt, and if you look at this image, you can see that the jacket is quite short. I mean, it's normal length, but to compare to his shirt, it's quite short. And the shirt under it is a white shirt that is quite long and also has this cut that's a little bit lower. Again, for some reason, anything that's not like this is hard to find. Why? I don't know. But for him, I kind of picked a bunch of outfits, like something like this for his work day, or one of the days when he's at home stealing Sakura's food or something like that. A sweater like this, it's hard to tell a little bit because it's a black sweater, but this type of bit of a rigid collar on a sweater would work really well for him. This sweater from the back too, it's a little bit longer, very straight, has a bit of structure to it. This type of thing reminded me of the sweater that I have the image of right here. Obviously a little bit different because this one has a little bit more of a sporty vibe to it because of the adjustable elastics. It's in the same kind of vein in terms of the thick collar. I've also put this jacket here, and this one, I think that the one on the right is more fitting because it's a little bit shorter and it would look more like the outfit that he's wearing in the show, paired with this shirt. This shirt is tucked in this case, but let me show you untucked version. So this one, quite long, very straight, would work with that jacket and would look exactly like the outfit that he wears a lot in the show. I wish the collar was a little bit different, but this one is like, it's fine, it could work, but I wish it was a little bit more similar to the one that Toya is wearing. And also just clothes like this that have just a little bit of that old school inspiration mixed with modern styles, kind of just merging those two together. This is actually gonna be a theme for a lot of the characters here, because a lot of the clothes are inspired by traditional clothing, not always Japanese, especially with Syaoran and Meilin. But okay, so on to Sakura. This is what everyone wanted to hear about. Sakura gets a lot of outfits. One of the things that I want to mention here is that even though I'm showing possible stylings, possible clothes, or whatever that could be picked, first of all, with all of this animation adaptation videos, I'm more of a person who prefers animation to stay animation unless it could be done well outside of animation. These videos are just a framework of talking about fashion in those shows. It doesn't mean that I'm like pushing for a live adaptation or something like that, you know? It's more just me talking about a possibility of what their outfits could look like in real life. With Sakura, even though I'm gonna be showing some images that are possible outfits for her, I think that a lot of the outfits that are created by Tomoyo should be done custom. Same with, for example, Syaoran's ceremonial outfit that he wears for capturing cards and just like, you know, working with magic or whatever, just because... Actually, we'll get to Syaoran in a moment. Sakura gets so many outfits, so every time she's going out to catch those cards, or in the next season when she transforms them. It doesn't always happen in the second season because there's a lot of instances where she transforms the cards without the outfit, but usually basically she wears a new outfit every time because Tomoyo wants to film her and she wants to get Sakura to wear her designs. So we get a new design literally every episode. Some of the outfits, basically the outfits are kind of inspired by a bunch of things. So sometimes you would get an outfit that's inspired by Renaissance time. So for example, one of the outfits that was in the show was this outfit here where she plays Romeo in Romeo and Juliet, and the entire outfit is more inspired by men's fashion. There's obviously some outfits that are more inspired by the 50s in terms of the silhouette, some outfits that are inspired by traditional Japanese clothing. There's some outfits that are inspired by shepherds outfits. The thing is, I know that there's going to be a lot of people in the comments who are going to be telling me that a lot of it is Lolita fashion. The thing is, Lolita fashion is inspired by a bunch of other fashions and it's incorporated into Lolita fashion. That's why I'm more talking about, for example, shepherd's dress or traditional like countryside dresses rather than talking about Lolita. And because also I don't quite understand Lolita clothing and a Lolita style. I know about it, I looked it up multiple times, I've read a bunch of things about it, but I'm not the type of person who follows it or knows enough about it to constantly reference it. So that's why I don't bring it up often, and that's why I don't usually explain my styling decisions based on that style alone, because I don't quite get it. I know that there's many people who follow these things, like this type of style, for many years, and that's why they are more versed in it and can talk about it more, and that's why they suggest it a lot in my comments, which is great. You can keep suggesting it, and I would love to hear your ideas about styling. But with these outfits, what I think is the most fun about them is that each individual outfit is inspired by very specific things or a mix of a couple things, and it's exaggerated. The thing with Sakura's outfits is that a lot of them, all of them actually, are very bright. They're all inspired by some styles from the past, for example, but then brought to current times and animation by being extremely bright and by being different in terms of length of shorts, just in general, the length of different parts of the garment kind of brings a bit more life to it. Tomoyo is nothing if not exciting and campy about her approach to fashion. She's definitely not boring, you know. Every episode, it's kind of really fun to see what kind of outfits she gets. And it's also really interesting to hear Kero talk about the outfits at the end of the episode, where he kind of explains why this outfit was chosen, a specific detail in the outfit, the main point or the focal point of the outfit is this thing or that thing, you know. It's always interesting to see when creators are definitely seeing this character as someone who could present new looks every single episode. And it's interesting that Clamp as a collective, Clamp are the people who, it's a collective of 4 women, they make a bunch of like mangas and stuff like that. They're the creators of Cardcaptor Sakura. It's just interesting to also see in interviews that they're also were like, yeah, well, it's kind of sad that magical girls always wear the same outfit every time they fight crime and whatever, or every time they are using their magic. And I thought that it was really, like, it's true, because the most exciting parts of any magical show was always the power up, right? Because they would get a new outfit. Oh, I loved it. Always loved it. In Winx, when they got Enchantix, I died. I was so, God, I still love it. I still think it's one of the best transformations ever, and it's just so good. Really great show for kids. It's so exciting, it's so fun. So much glitter and color, I love it. In any case, for Sakura, I also wanted to look not just at her outfits that she wears for her magical adventures, because those outfits are created by Tomoyo. They don't really show what Sakura wears on the daily or what she would choose to wear on the daily. So I've put also a few images of Sakura just wearing her regular clothes, where she sometimes wears pleated skirts with sweaters or hoodies. She also she wears really cute clothes. If you compare her type of femininity to Tomoyo's type of femininity, Tomoyo definitely wears more of classic silhouettes that are very much inspired by the 50s and are focusing more on the elegance kind of those outfits rather than the cuteness of it all. And with Sakura, it's more about the cuteness. There's a little bit more girliness going on, not specifically in colors or something like that, but in terms of just her hair clips are very cute, her shirts are very cute, like this one for example with this daisy here. She has daisies on her little, I don't know what they're called, like pigtails. Are they still pigtails if they're still hair down? It's like half up, half down. You know what I mean. It's more about cuteness with her. And there are some looks like this where she's wearing layering of a shirt and a t-shirt, or a shirt and a sweater. And also there's a lot of wing motifs in her outfits, but a very specific type of wing, you know? It's not the same as the wing that, for example, Yui has when Yuki transforms into Yui. He has like very big dramatic wings that look like wings as we know them. With Sakura, they're more cute. They're very small. There's no big structure of like two joints connecting, you know? It's more just like one wing. And it's used very often in her character design. They have it on their uniforms. She has it on a lot of her little accessories. She has it on her pajamas. She has it just like in random places. It's basically like one of those staple images that are associated with Sakura. For the outfits that I picked for her, I picked this type of thing for some of her dresses, or for example for her pajamas. Very cute, very girly. Also this type of look with a pleated skirt and a sweater. She oftentimes wears red in her shirts. This type of outfit, but in very bright colors, would look like one of the outfits that she wears that Tomoyo made for her. I'm pretty sure this is a Lolita outfit. There's a lot of outfits like this that I picked up. A lot of these collars look very much like something that Sakura would wear when Tomoyo has something to do with her outfit. A lot of Peter Pan collars, or very cute collars, not very big ones, only for the uniform, but everything else not so much. Outfits like this too are very similar to something that Tomoyo would make for her. I've also put this here because it reminded me of both this outfit and a bunch of other outfits that she wears. She wears a lot of very comfortable tops and pleated skirts, or sometimes she wears like envelope shorts. And I've also put this here just because this kind of reminded me of this top. If the sleeves were shorter and maybe the material was a bit softer, not denim, and there was layering with the turtleneck, would look really good and would be very similar to something that she wore in the show. And also I have this image, which is some kind of Japanese pop star from the 90s, which is an outfit that kind of reminded me a lot of Sakura's outfit at the beginning of the show. It's very similar in a lot of ways. It has a lot of this poofiness and cuteness and girliness kind of all meshed together. So this is what I have for Sakura. And then let's go to Syaoran. I still don't understand if it's Syaoran or Syaoran. So I'm gonna be fluctuating between the two because I can't make up my mind, and sometimes I say one, sometimes I say another. It seems to be very different in different types of romanizations. I guess that's what it's called. In any case, so he obviously has this outfit that's a ceremonial kind of outfit. At least he calls it ceremonial in the subtitles. That's how it was translated. And it's usually what he wears when he is using magic. Here it is. So the thing with this outfit is it's definitely inspired by traditional Chinese clothing. There are some things that I did not see when I was looking at traditional Chinese clothing, like for example those big bells. I did not see them anywhere. I might be wrong on that completely, but I think that it's just inspired by it, not a direct copy of something very common in ceremonial clothing. So this is more like a combination of different inspirations made into this new costume. So I think that this outfit would definitely have to be custom made, which is, I mean, it's totally fine. It's kind of the same for Sakura. And the thing with Syaoran is that he wears a lot of shirts that are definitely inspired by the traditional Chinese clothing. In terms of the collar, when I looked it up, it was called the Mandarin collar. I have no idea. Sometimes you look things up in English and it's like, I don't know. Basically, that's what it's called in English anyway. There's also this kind of style that's recurring in his outfits. For example, here the collar is a little bit different, but it's still similar to that. It still has this inspiration from the past, and it's interesting because it's definitely modern. It's modernized, but it definitely takes from those traditional cuts and silhouettes a lot. He also wears something like this sometimes, and he had this sweater which reminds me with the way that the buttons are, reminds me of, again, Chinese old style clothing, but not the material itself. So I've put some straight shirts like this with a high but small, low, at least low collar. This one as well, because of the way that it's layered and also the colors. He oftentimes wears green or beige, sometimes light dusty pink. That's mostly the colors that he's seen in. Browns. Also, this type of clothing definitely reminds me of his ceremonial clothes. Definitely reminds me of that shirt that he wore in one of the images that I showed you, except if it was, shorter sleeves and no embroidery on it. If there would be no embroidery, it would be a little bit more modern, I guess. There's also this type of outfit that has his signature kind of color, and also the type of, I don't know if that would be called buttons, but the type of buttons, I guess, that you can see on his sweater, on his shirts a lot. This type of outfit, very simple, very clean cut kind of collar, and very simple shirt pants combo. Don't look at the shoes. And then this shirt definitely reminds me of that pink shirt that he wore. I don't have the image of him wearing that pink shirt, but if you've seen the show, you probably remember it. Maybe you don't. I don't know, but maybe you remember it. I'm just referencing it. So yeah, so this is what I have for Syaoran. Let's talk about Meilin. So Meilin, she is, first of all, she's adorable. Love her. We'll talk about their relationship to each other, Meilin and Syaoran, because we'll talk about it. She oftentimes has this hairstyle with the buns, but imagine if my pigtails had buns. Kind of like Usagi from Sailor Moon. She wears a lot of warm tones, but also, I guess honestly, her wardrobe has a quite big range of colors, but you can see her, most of the time you can see her in really bright colors, and sometimes she wears some brown, but most of the time she's got some gold, red, green, and blue going on. Out of the outfits that I've seen, blue not so often. She usually is in the warmer colors, but sometimes blue too. This outfit right here, she has just pigtails here. This outfit here with this little buns and braids. The thing with Meilin's outfits is that her outfits, so for example, this is the outfit that she wears when they were catching cards. It's very much, again, inspired by the Chinese traditional clothing. However, it's mostly in the little details like the buttons, or for example some of the cuts, but it's inspired by it. I couldn't find anything that's very similar, mostly because, for example, the sleeves are usually not in this triangular kind of long form. Usually the ones that I found were mostly like they didn't have any bells at the end, like those big bells, for example, and the skirt is like usually doesn't have cuts that are that high, and usually the skirt is longer to like a knee or something like that, when the dress is of a similar cut. This outfit is really cute, and I think that it would have to be also made custom. Let me know if you think that this looks like some kind of Chinese traditional dress exactly, in terms of like maybe the sleeves or something like that, because the sleeves that I found were more square, or sometimes they were more they basically were a different shape than this ones. Similar in terms of them being big and kind of starting small and then having like a very big shape at the end. I love that there's just Kara-chan at the bottom just staring at her. So she's got also this types of shirts, again, Chinese inspired, like the old school type of blouses. Also wears some sweatshirts sometimes. She wears a lot of shorts and a lot of thigh-high or knee-high socks. And also this type of jacket that she wears when she comes back for an episode or two. She wears this jacket a lot. So I kind of found this jacket, it's not exactly the same, because I think that this part, like the collar, is actually like that wool material, whatever it is. But I just thought that this one looked similar in terms of color blocking. I also found this outfit, this type of dress, wouldn't be in white because she doesn't wear white that often. But I think that this would be a very cute type of shape and a very modern type of approach to it. Kind of mixing it in the same way that her and Syaoran are mixing their outfits, like it's traditional clothes inspired, but it's brought into this modern times and made a lot more current and interesting, while at the same time having this sleekness of traditional clean cuts, just like this type of like sweatshirt kind of look. She sometimes wears that. In her case, it's usually layered with like a turtleneck. This is the dress like that I was talking about, that it's usually a little bit longer. She wears a pink dress in one of the episodes when she comes for the first time when she comes to Japan. Shorts like this with this type of like bigger shirt would be very Meilin, as well as shorts like this. I'm telling you, she wears a lot of shorts, especially I think in the images that I've seen from clear cards, she wears shorts a lot too. And I've also picked this outfit by Jenny, not for the outfit as much for the hairstyle, because I think the hairstyle is Meilin, length of the ponytails. It's basically like my hair, except Jenny actually has the buns instead of just having pigtails, you know. Does it look similar? No? Well, I tried. In any case, this is what I've got for all the characters. Let me know if you want to see any other characters that I've missed, because I obviously didn't cover everybody. If there's a lot that you want to see, if I see a lot of people suggesting something that they really want to see, I'll make a part 2 for Cardcaptor Sakura, but I've covered all the ones that kind of came to mind when I was preparing for this. Also, I'm gonna be releasing a review. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!